What's up guys, my name is Ace, and over the weekend we got the big Black Ops 6 reveal, and while I already went over all of the main points and features that are coming with Black Ops 6, today we're going to be diving a whole lot deeper here, and I'm going to be pulling out every little detail that I could find that I feel is interesting and worth mentioning when it comes to Black Ops 6 multiplayer. And it turns out there's actually a ton of little things that can be found if you go frame by frame, take screenshots, zoom into certain areas, especially in the clips at the studio where you can see people playing. Now, just a heads up, this video is going to be sort of all over the place. It's kind of hard to organize this since it's just so many different things that are compiled into one video. And on top of that, since we're going to be looking at a lot of very fine details in this, and most of them were not official talking points for the reveal, it's definitely possible that some of these little items can change between now and when we actually get our hands on the game. The game is still in development, and especially when it comes to like menu items, for instance, oftentimes that stuff will change within the final several months of development. But without further ado, let's dive right into this. The first thing to point out here is it looks like mounting will be returning. That's something that wasn't officially mentioned anywhere, but you can see there is clearly an indicator for mounting. Not a huge surprise. Also in the kill feed, right at the bottom of the kill feed, it looks like that may be a combat axe, so that might be returning to the game. Although we also know there's going to be like a homing throwing knife apparently, although I'm not 100% sure if that's in multiplayer or just campaign. Then advancing a few frames forward from the same clip, we can see he gets a kill, and it says elimination, not kill, and therefore this may be a hint that we're going to be seeing the same system as Black Ops Cold War, where if you get an assist on an enemy player, it will count as an elimination on the scoreboard, instead of kills and assists being treated separately there. Also, something they did blur out on the top of the screen, but you can clearly see it there, medals are returning for getting kills, which I'm really happy to see that. And then on the bottom right, we can see score streaks are there, and it looks like they have a little bar that moves upward instead of exact score numbers. And honestly, I do hope they are going to be bringing exact score numbers into the game, because it's nice to know exactly how much score you need before you get your next streak. But this is where I also wanted to mention these are actual score streaks that do reset on death. It's not the Cold War style system, it's actual traditional score streaks. Now in this next little clip, you can see several people playing the game. The only thing I can really pick out here is this guy seems to be earning a medal, again, on the top center of the screen. And also it looks like he just earned a score streak, although we can't really see the details of either of those. After that, when they were talking about the intelligent movement settings, they actually showed the start screen here. So we can see the start screen. It looks very familiar, looks very similar to Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, which is no surprise since it is going to be on the COD HQ app. But one of the important things I wanted to point out from this image is it appears this map is going to be called Scud. And it seems like it lines up very nicely with this particular map, which you'll be seeing multiple times throughout this video, including when they were talking about the heads-up display options where it shows the minimap on the top right. And with that, taking a look at that minimap and comparing it to a section where they call a hellstorm missile in, if we zoom in on this, it actually gives us a bit of an indication of the overhead view of this map, so we kind of get somewhat of an indication of the layout of Scud, while also, of course, confirming that the hellstorm missile will be in the game as one of our score streaks. Next, speaking of names of maps, it appears we're also going to be having a map called Rewind. We can see it on the top right corner of the screen right here. And this really seems to line up with many of the images we're seeing where there's a lot of fighting taking place in and around a video store. So it does appear that this map is going to be called Rewind. And it also appears we actually got an overhead view of this map. As you can see here from the map section, if we zoom in, it appears she is working on Rewind, and that is an overhead view of the map. And it does appear to be a like small to medium sized map set in a strip mall where there's a bunch of indoor areas toward the center, with the outside routes being more open and exposed. And then on top of that, from that same clip where we got the name Rewind, we can also see somebody open up their Create a Class menu in-game. And while we obviously can't get a whole lot of details here, you can see there's a primary, secondary, it looks like 3 perks, and then equipment in there. The main thing I wanted to point out here is it does appear they're finally going to be listing out the classes in a vertical menu rather than a horizontal menu, and that's really refreshing. I know it might seem minor, but it's just so annoying having those horizontal scrolling menus all the time in the past few Call of Duty games, when vertical menus are obviously superior for ease of use and navigation. So I'm hoping we'll see a lot more of that in other menus as well. Then let's circle back to maps a little bit. It appears we got another overhead view of one of the maps that was shown off many times throughout the gameplay they've shown. Unfortunately, in this case, the name of this map didn't seem to appear anywhere, but this is the one with the swimming pool on it, and this appears to be a fairly small map taking place inside a mansion, and we've got a pool there. So that's just another thing to point out. We do get that overhead view. Next, something I did mention in the previous Black Ops 6 video, it does appear we will be able to grab enemy players and use them as a meat shield, essentially. And in this clip here, it actually shows that it looks like you can't aim down sight while doing this, but you can zoom in a little bit, so it appears this is going to be almost like a tac stance. I wonder if that will be tightening up your hipfire spread slightly. Next, something quite interesting I noticed here is there are doors in this game. However, unlike previous Call of Duty games, it looks like you can just shoot the door and it'll blast it open for you. So that's a pretty cool new mechanic when it comes to the doors. Then from this really short clip right here, we can see that dual mags are going to be back as an attachment. So that should allow for faster reloads. Possibly every second reload will be faster like we saw in the original Black Ops game. Next, in this little clip here, we can see somebody working on the UI elements. And just one little thing I wanted to pull out here is it appears we see an option for ranked play right next to the highlighted multiplayer section. Obviously, that's not much of a surprise, but just wanted to point that out. After that, let's have a look at our first proper first-person gameplay, not over the shoulder and actually showing gunfights take place. And there's a lot of little things to pick out of these clips. First off, right here, we can see a little red dot above the enemy player's head. So it appears we aren't going to have the red diamonds. Instead, they're going to be replaced with red dots. Another thing is there's only one score streak equipped on this person's loadout, which was interesting as well. So perhaps if you want, you can select one single streak, which seems like it would be a strange choice unless you're able to loop streaks, in which case that would potentially make sense. Additionally, on the bottom right, it does appear that whatever field upgrade they have charged, it appears they have 2 field upgrade charges ready to go, and therefore there's likely going to be a perk in the game that allows you to charge up multiple field upgrades, and we have seen that in the past with Call of Duty. Also, just a quick note on the heads-up display, it appears the compass, instead of being on the top center of the screen, it's now wrapped around the mini-map, which is an interesting concept, and I actually like that idea. I personally don't like the compass in Call of Duty, because I hate having to check multiple places, like looking up at the top center of the screen toward the compass to get information, and then over to the top left of the screen to get your minimap information. Now that's all in the same general area at least, and I think that makes a lot of sense, although I am curious to see if we'll have a square minimap option, because it is always round in all of the footage that we've seen with this reveal. Then after that, we can see a bloodthirsty medal pop up. And on the right-hand side of the screen, this is where we see something interesting. We have little boosts that appear the moment you get a kill. And these boosts are to your movement speed, your tactical sprint speed, and your health regeneration. And it seems they only last for a very short period of time after getting a kill. And in the second clip, we see the exact same thing, and you'll see that it resets every single time you get a kill. And this lines up perfectly with something Charlie Intel described, where if you match all the same color of perks, you will get a bonus ability, and these ones align with the Enforcer perks, where you get speed and health regeneration increases with every kill. So that appears to be Enforcer in action. And this brings me back to the playstyles that Matt was talking about here. We have Enforcers, Recon, as well as Strategists. And when he talks about Recon, this is where we see a wall hack ability. We can see people through walls right here, although it does appear to be a relatively brief flash. And so I think the conclusion could be drawn here that instead of getting that health regeneration and movement speed boost if you're using Recon, you're going to get this wall hack ability at some point. In either case, let's move on to this next image, which I did talk about briefly in the past. This is our first look at Gunsmith, and I want to dive into a bit more detail with this one. And the first important thing to note here is on the bottom right of the screen, there is going to be an option to view detailed weapon stats, which is excellent news. I know that's pretty much expected these days, but it has been a bit hit or miss. Like Modern Warfare 2 didn't provide that option. It looks like Black Ops 6 will be providing that option. Another thing there is they mentioned this is compared to the Krig 6, so the Krig 6 may be returning, or that might just be a placeholder. Like I said, much of this is still subject to change. Then there's also an option to view our mastery progression. Also, the thing I have talked about already with this is it appears we will have the ability to put up to 8 attachments on our gun. However, I think it's assumed at this point that that is going to be through some sort of a wildcard, since wildcards are confirmed in the game. And now let's talk a little bit about the attachment slots, and most of them are just normal attachment slots that we'd expect. We have optics, muzzles, barrels, underbarrels, lasers, magazines, grips, stocks. Then we have fire mods, and that's something that appears to be new with Black Ops 6, so we'll definitely have to wait to get some more information on that. And then one last thing I wanted to pull out of this image here is in a kind of awkward location, it does say 12 loadouts. And it does seem like a really strange location to be putting that, but that might be confirmation that we'll have the ability to have up to 12 loadouts in the game. Then after that, we have this really short clip right here, which shows off the pre-game lobby. And there's a few things to point out here. First off, of course, we've got daily challenges as expected. Next, you can see the map that's loading up is Nuketown. So it looks like Nuketown is confirmed, although not really surprising to anybody. It's a staple of Black Ops games. And in that background, it actually kind of looks like this is Nuketown 2025. And then on top of that, something I'm really happy to see here is on the right-hand side of the screen where it's listing out all the players in the lobby. First off, that's listed nicely, so it's very clean. You can see everybody in the lobby very clearly there. unlike some recent Call of Duty games. However, the biggest thing to point out here is it does appear that we have party indicators, so you can see who is partied up with who without having to navigate to some sub-menu like you have to do in Modern Warfare 3 if you want to check that. You have to go to like the party tab to find that out. It appears in Black Ops 6, that's just going to be displayed right up front in the pregame lobby, as it should be. That's a feature I've definitely missed from previous Call of Duty games, because it gives you a really good indication of what you're about to get yourself into. Also, one last thing to mention here is on the bottom right of the screen, we can see our double XP, so it looks like double player XP, double weapon XP, and double battle pass XP. Then from this little clip right here, I know this one's super blurry, but one thing that we can gather from this is it appears map voting is in the game. We can see on the top left of his screen there, it appears there are 3 options to be voting for. Then after that, something I saw a lot of comments about in my previous video is, will there be tac sprinting in the game? And yes, there will be. You can see 2 of those players go into tac sprint at one point throughout this clip. Next, in this clip here, something really interesting is on the kill feed, there's a little blue line that's covering somebody that got 2 sniper kills. And we have seen double kills in some previous clips and that line didn't appear. So to me, I believe what this means is there's actually going to be a collateral indicator now in the kill feed. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't see the moment that popped up in the kill feed. That would confirm it for sure. But that is my best guess here. I think there may be a collateral indicator in the kill feed, which I think would be a cool little feature. Next with this clip, this looks like a trophy system, so I believe that's trophy system confirmed, and also a SAM turret score streak. And it is worth noting on that SAM turret, there's also a slight red outline around that, so that appears to be an engineer style perk where you can see enemy score streaks and equipment through walls. And speaking of score streaks, the RCXD is coming back, as we can see here, and it looks like we will have the ability to jump with it like we could in previous Black Ops games. And with that, that's pretty much it as far as the little things that I was able to pull from specific clips from the reveal. In saying that though, I do have some more details that I wanted to add here that I didn't cover in Sunday's video, especially some things that I feel need some clarifying since some people appear to be confused about them. The first thing is the listing for this game states that it's going to be 300 gigabytes. And Activision clarified on this, that's for the COD HQ app. If you download absolutely everything, so Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, and Black Ops 6, yes, it's going to be 300 gigabytes. But for Black Ops 6 itself, it's not going to be a 300 gigabyte download. After that, while the game is releasing on October 25th, I believe it was a PlayStation Store that states that it's available on October 17th, and I believe that effectively confirms that we're once again going to be seeing early access to the campaign for those that pre-order the game, which I really hope that's going to be the case. I love the fact that they've been doing that in recent years because it gives us time to dive into the campaign without having to worry about falling behind in multiplayer or anything. Then after that, Call of Duty Next is confirmed to be taking place on August 28th, and it looks like based on a Game UK listing, I got this image from Bob Network, I'll leave a link to him down below, it appears the closed pre-order beta, which was confirmed to be coming to all platforms at the same time, it appears this is also coming on August 28th. So it appears right after Call of Duty Next, or during Call of Duty Next, the beta will be going live, and that's great news. That's almost 2 months before the launch of the game, so that actually gives them more time than we often see for them to work out any bugs or issues or balancing things that are found out throughout the beta. Obviously, that's still not enough time to make like massive sweeping changes to the game, but plenty of time for adjustments at least. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video, and this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Out of all of these little details that I found and provided in today's video, which ones are you most interested in hearing more about? And also, again, I'd just love to hear your general thoughts on how Black Ops 6 appears to be shaping up based on what we know so far. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.